Hi, I'm Lorelei Williams and I'm a bankruptcy paralegal. Today I'm here to show you how to go through the questionnaire step by step. This is part of the process for filing your bankruptcy. The bankruptcy questionnaire also has a bankruptcy checklist for documents that we will need to prepare your bankruptcy case. It's very important, and accuracy and detail is very important, as well as full disclosure, because there are consequences for falsifying documents and not being truthful. So this video you can pause and go as needed. As you're working on your questionnaire, I will be taking you through each section. If you do not understand after viewing this video, please give us a call. Okay, so we're going to go over the document list briefly for you. These would be attached to your questionnaire. Do not bring original documents or bills in envelopes. We need copies of the following documents to prepare your bankruptcy filing. Credit reports, we download these for you. Copy of driver license and social security card. These can be photos from your phone. List of creditors who are not on your credit report. Those examples of that are payday loans, medical bills, dental bills, etc. 6 months of most recent income information. If you're married and your spouse is not filing, we will need your spouse's income information as well as yours. We will need 6 months of pay stubs, unemployment benefits, child or spousal support statements, Social Security award letters, and retirement or pension letters. We will need 6 months of most recent bank statements for all open bank accounts that have your name and your spouse's name, even if your spouse is not filing. Indicate all web-based accounts, Cash App, PayPal, Apple Cash, and Chime as well. They are available to be printed out online. Most recent statement for all of the following accounts: IRAs, education IRA or other tuition programs, medical savings plans, investment accounts, life insurance policy, and annuity. Inherited property. It is your responsibility to notify the attorney of any property that you have inherited in the past 6 months or expect to inherit. All inherited property must be listed as such in the intake packet. If you are self-employed, please provide us with a 12-month profit and loss for each of the past 12 months. A spreadsheet example will be provided if you need one. Copies of any lawsuits, judgments, garnishments, foreclosure, or other legal actions. Complete copies of tax returns or transcripts for the last 4 years. 2 years if filing Chapter 7. Information regarding 401k loans. Printout of completion date and monthly payment amount. Vehicle valuation for all vehicles, trailers, motorhomes, motorcycles, boats, etc. that you own. You can obtain valuations at Kelley Blue Book or NADA or Edmunds.com. We're looking for trade-in value for Chapter 7 and private party value for Chapter 13. Copy of purchase agreement, especially for vehicles purchased during the last 910 days or 2.5 years. Copy of purchase agreement or lease agreement for any and all financed vehicles, trailers, motorhomes, motorcycles, boats, etc., along with the most recent statement. A credit counseling course must be completed before the case can be filed, and certificate of completion received by our office. We recommend debtorcc.org. You're going to pay about $19.95 for that. We'll need a copy of the tax assessed valuation of your property, your real estate. A copy of your homeowners association statement. A copy of the most recent mortgage statement showing monthly payment, balance due, maturity date, and arrears. Information regarding any property sold within the past 2 years. Copies of divorce decree and/or property settlement agreement in the past 2 years. Copies of records for property transfers for the past 2 years. If you are a homeowner with substantial equity, please contact a local real estate agent to obtain a comparable market analysis so we can determine the value of your residence. A retainer agreement for any attorney handling a personal injury claim on your behalf, or any other case you have an attorney working for you on. Name and complete address of any collection agency that is collecting upon a court fine, and the name and mailing address of the court issuing the fine, including the case number where the fine is issued. We have a ticket list sheet available at your request. Name and complete mailing list of any court where fines are owed, including case number under which the fine is issued. If you're married and your spouse is not filing bankruptcy, we will need a complete list of your spouse's monthly expenses, 6 months of bank statements, 6 months of pay stubs, and a list of any separate property, such as a house or car. Have you used any other names in the past 8 years? Yes or no? Have you used any business names or employer identification in the last 8 years? You want to make sure you list all of these here. If you change your name from maiden name, you change your gender, we need all that information. Additionally, it's very important to put your middle name in here. This is how the courts recognize you from other John Smiths or Jane Does. Okay, next, very important, is your Social Security number, your date of birth, the state where you were born. This will help us obtain your credit report. Okay, now we have your address. Full address. Have you lived at this address for the last 6 months? Yes or no? Have you lived it for the last 730 days, 2 years? Put that in. If you answer no to the questions above, please list your previous address. Now, here's where you put your mailing address, and below that you have your marital status. Completed Part A. Part B is for your spouse. Same information as yourself if your spouse is filing with you. Okay, here's Part B, and this is for your spouse if you have a spouse and they're filing with you. A spouse is a person that you are legally married to. Okay, Part B, again, their Social Security number, their date of birth, any other names they may have gone by. Emergency contact information, and address if it's different than your spouse's, the main spouse filing. Mailing address, marital status. Okay, then here are specific questions about if you're filing together or not. These are more detailed questions. Just circle the yes or no here. Okay, Part C is prior or pending bankruptcy cases. So fill in this information if it applies to you. If you've checked no, you can leave this blank. Part D, debtors who reside as tenants of residential property. Check here, yes or no, if you are renting. And list your landlord's name and address if you are renting. If you're not, just check no. Part E, business owned as a sole proprietor. Okay, a sole proprietor is not an LLC. It's not a corporation. If you're just a sole proprietor, we need your information there. Part F is if you have any hazardous property or property that needs immediate attention, such as possible eviction. You can list this here. Or if you have any hazardous materials or facing eviction by the city because the city is shutting down your property, anything like that. Okay, Section 2, property. Part A, real estate. If you have real estate, we need all the information of every piece of real estate you own. So that would be your address, your mortgage, whose name is it in? Is it yours and your spouse, your dad, whatever we need that information. What is the property? Check all that apply. Single family home, duplex, condo, manufactured home, land, etc. You must also include all property you own that may be outside our country as well. What is the amount of the mortgage and the lien or the loan? If you have any judgment liens, please submit them to us. We can strip them. Are insurance and property taxes included in the monthly payment? This is very important. What is your monthly payment? Oh, as well, over here you want the estimated value of your property. You can look on Zillow for that. Have you lived in the house more than 3.5 years? That's 1,250 days. We need to know. It's important. Okay, here the name and address of your HOA and your monthly HOA dues here. Address. This is the address of the mortgage, lien, or loan. This is a second piece of property if you need that. If you have more than 2 pieces of properties, list them on a separate page. Now this is important. Are you behind on any mortgage payments? Please click yes or no. If yes, how much on the first, how much on the second? Are you behind on any HOA payments? List that amount here. Have you refinanced, modified a loan, or purchased in the last 3 years? We need to know. Full disclosure is important. Do you plan on retaining your home? Yes or no? Is your house currently in foreclosure? That's really important. We do need to know that. And if there's a sale date, attach a notice of foreclosure with your paperwork. Vans, trucks, tractors, SUVs, motorcycles, RVs, watercraft, aircraft, motorhomes, ATVs, any other vehicle requiring a license or license plate. Okay, so here's a list for all your vehicles. Important. People leave out this value here. So make sure you fill in the value. And that can be from Kelley Blue Book and print it out for us. kbb.com. Here's all room for all your other vehicles. We need to know if you, your spouse, joint, or someone else, co-signers own the vehicle as well. Make sure to fill in all these fields everywhere we go in this questionnaire. Now here is room for all of the other vehicles that you have in your household. Part C, personal property and household items. Here we have type of properties, your household goods and furnishings, linens, dishes, etc. Do you own this type of property? You see these fields? It's important to fill out every field for us. Description. You don't need to do any inventory here. Just lump together a price of all your household goods. If you were going to move to Arizona and sell everything in your house, what could you get on Craigslist? It's used value here, not replacement value. So over here, say something like, oh, Craigslist, I could probably get a couple $1,000s for all my items right here. And who owns them? Okay, electronics, used value again. TVs, phones, stereos, consoles, fill out every field, put in the used value. You can look on Craigslist for used value of these things if you like. And here you want to just say TV, phone, laptop, iPod, Xbox. You can list that here. And who owns them. Collectibles of value. Now this is important. The trustees like to look at this. Paintings, collectibles, prints, memorabilia, antiques, stamp collections, you get the idea. So now here you do want to describe and do an inventory, and you may need to do a little research and look up the value of these things. Or sometimes if it's a valuable item or painting, you may need it to be appraised We'll need an appraisal on certain items. You can talk to us about that. And then again, who owns them? And the value, what you estimate that is. Okay, next, sports, photo, exercise, hobby equipment, musical instruments. Right here you can put weights, items like this that you have, treadmill, things like that, and put a used value again. Okay, last and not least, in the personal property, we have health aids, other household items not listed. So here you want to put your CPAP, your oxygen machine, things like that, and hearing aids, and the used value right here. Now, Part D, we have financial assets. So cash. Okay, Part D is your financial assets. Cash. Well, this would include what's in your mattress. Full disclosure, as always. So list the amount you have close to the time of filing. Failure to list and provide statements for all open and active bank accounts could result in additional attorney fees of $250 for having to amend your bankruptcy petition. So make sure that you provide us bank statements and list each open account, not closed, but open. Here's where you list every checking and savings account you have. So checking account 1, last 4 digits of the number here. Is it joint or otherwise? Fill in all these fields. Checking account 2 if you have one. Savings, savings, savings. If you have a CD or money market, you want to list this here. And remember, put the amount in here, the 4 digits of the account number, and who else is on the account with you. Here we have other financial accounts. This might be like PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. List all these here, and yes, you can find out all the information on this type of online account. They do provide them. Here's additional account too. So if you've got Cash App and PayPal both, or Venmo, then there's room on this questionnaire for you to fill that in. Okay, continuing. For reference, we're on page 17 of the questionnaire. Here's more room for other financial accounts. Any online bank accounts. Here you have, next is your bonds, mutual funds, and publicly traded stocks. You want to list this, as well as Bitcoin type digital money. Okay, here you have non-publicly traded stocks and interests in business. So I have 20 shares of Microsoft valued today at $50. Make sure you put the value of all these in here. Okay, any government and corporate bonds and instruments like savings bonds. Do they have those anymore? I don't know. And who is on this account as well, and the value. Okay, continuing. This area is for non-publicly traded stocks, interests in businesses, corporation, LLCs, partnerships, and joint ventures. Here's where you list all your different companies that you may have a partnership or own outright. This would be any sole proprietor, LLC, S Corp, C Corp, etc. So we need to know. And your value here, and what percentage, if you have a partnership, what is your percentage of ownership? Government and corporate bonds and instruments, including savings bonds. We put all that here, and the value. Now here's where your 401k and your IRA go. Retirement, pension, or profit sharing plan, Part 1, IRA, 403b, thrift savings account, or other pension or Boeing pension, profit sharing, anything like that goes in here. Make sure you put the value. So here we have another room for if you have more than one right in here. This section here is allowed for you. So we're on page 18, and here's another place for you to add additional retirement accounts as needed. This here is your security deposit, like a landlord deposit or utility. We need to know how much, who owns it, and the value of the property. Prepayments must be disclosed, layaway, gift cards, etc., and the value. Annuities. Do you have an annuity? Is it an inherited annuity? Please talk to the attorney about inherited annuities. If you own it, yes or no, the description, and the value, and who owns it. And last here is education IRA or Section 630 account, state tuition plan. Okay, so if you have a trust, life estate, future and equitable interest in property or assets, list that here and the value. If you need a separate sheet to describe, please add that. And again, if it's you, spouse, joint, or otherwise, please disclose that. And then we have patents, copyrights, trademarks, franchises, and other intellectual property. Like maybe your name's on a song somewhere, then we need that information. Disclose everything on that. Okay, moving on with our assets. List any licenses, franchises, or any general intangibles here, and the value. Are you owed any income tax refunds? Put the year and the amount here. Alimony and child support. We need the name and address of the other's ex who receives the support or pays you support here. Other amounts someone owes you: unpaid wages, disabilities, loans, vacation pay, workers' comp, unpaid loans, any other income that you expect, or any assets that you expect to have that you have not received, put that here in the value. Cash value of insurance policies. This is whole or universal insurance, not term. Term life does not have cash value. This is a type of insurance that you can take loans out of. So we'll need all of that information, company, the value of it, what's in there. This section is inheritance, estate distributions, and death benefits. We need all information pertaining this area. In this area, if someone's passed away and left money to you, we need to know all about it. Personal injury claims. If you had an accident and you have a case going on, we need all that information as described in your bankruptcy checklist. Lawsuits or claims against anyone for anything, we need all that information as well. This is considered an asset by the bankruptcy court. Okay, and the last two items in the assets section, if this applies to you, all other claims or rights to sue someone, please disclose. Joe Blow hit me at the tavern and I'm going to sue him for $1 million. Listed all right here. Disclose it to us. Any other financial assets not listed? Anything you can think of, we need to know. Okay, Part E is for business-related assets. If you're filing a personal bankruptcy and you own a business, we need this information. Accounts receivable or commissions earned that you haven't been paid yet. List that and the value. Office equipment, furnishings, and supplies. So your desk, computer, and your chair, and any supplies that you have. This is going to be Craigslist use value here. And just list what it is: desk, chair, computer, etc. If you have inventory, that's another matter, and that'll be following in a minute here. Machinery, fixtures, equipment, business supplies, and books of your trade. All those things. Your tools, contractor tools, those can all go here. Business inventory. If you have an inventory situation, talk to us first about that. You may need to supply a separate inventory sheet, which I believe you're required to keep. So we will need that. Okay, any interest in partnership or joint ventures? So list the name and type of business and what interest you have. So you are flipping a house with your partner, you own 50-50, and you put their name in here as well. It does not mean they'll be added to the bankruptcy. It just needs to be disclosed. Okay, bottom of...
Begin again without okay. Thank you. Speed.
Customer and mailing list. This is the bottom of page 21. If you purchase a mailing list, this would be have a value on it. If this is your own customer list, you can just click no here. Other business-related property not already listed, you can put that here as well. Part F, farm and commercial fishing related property. If you have a fishing business or a farm, this is where you would list all your items, your farm animals, your livestock, your crops. Describe and put the value as before. Farm and commercial fishing equipment, machinery, a boat. We'll need all of that information. And then farming and your supplies, farming supplies, your chemicals and feed, etc. Put that here. Bottom of page 22. This is to list any other thing that you think of, all your assets. These bankruptcy trustees are forensic accountants. So if something is missing, they will find it. Just think of the TV show CSI. Now we're in the debt section. These pages are for listing your debts in sections. Part A is medical debts. Section 3 is for your debts. So the Part A, first section, is for your any medical and dental debts. We have to have all this information to continue. The amount owed, the creditor name and address, account number, date that the debt incurred, any contact person's info, and any additional information about the debt. Who incurred the debt? If it was a child, listed as your debt. Or if there's a co-debtor, your spouse is on this bill, please disclose this. Bottom of page 23 is another space for another medical debt. If you have more medical debts, attach a sheet of all of them and their information. Don't forget the creditor's name and address, the account number, and the date the debt incurred. Part B is for tax debts. Make sure to list all of the information here. It could be state tax, it can be federal. We need to know. The year is very important. And the contact name and the address and who incurred the debt. If it's a joint or community property debt, we need to know. Here's another section for more unpaid taxes if they apply to you. Okay, Part C, student loan debts. Amount owed, creditor name, address, account numbers, date range is very important, and any additional information. And if your parents are on this loan with you, we need to know. There's more spaces available. Okay, we're moving on to page 27. This is Part D, any other debts. Any debts that anyone owes you, and that would be unpaid alimony or child support, service fees, bank loans, or personal loans. And there's a number of spaces for this. Make sure that you fill in and answer all of these questions. So the account number, the date it was opened, we need all that information. Here we are on page 30, section 4, unexpired leases and contracts. Here's where you would put a leased vehicle or an apartment or house lease, all of this type of situation, they would go here. Description of lease and contract, name and address of the other party or parties, date the contract expires, that's important. So list all of those. There are a number of fields here you can use if needed. Okay, page 31, we're now in the income section, section 5. Put in your employer information here. How long have you been employed at the job? And your occupation or job title. A second employer, if you have a second employer, same information must all go here. And add any additional notes if you need to. Part B is for your spouse if they're filing with you. Part C, debtor's wage information on page 32. Put in the gross of your paycheck, how often you get paid. This here is real important for our software. What's your estimated overtime pay? Answer each and every one of these questions. Don't just skip them. Put NA if it doesn't apply to you. And then, did you receive income from business operations and outside your regular paycheck listed above? Yes or no? How much? Did you receive income or interest dividend outside your regular paycheck? Again, that's another space for that. How much per month? Very important. We need to know how much per month. Income from alimony or family support payments for your use or the care of your dependents. No, yes or no, and how much per month. Here we have unemployment income. List that amount here. Social Security income. List that here. Same for VA. If you have that, other monetary or government assistance. So here you would put your VA benefits or pension or disability. Okay, we have the page 32 towards the end. You will see all the other types of income you might have that you must list and the amounts due. Part D, joint debtors wage information. If your spouse is filing with you, repeat the same as for yourself. Any source of income and the amount each month is required. Part E, debtor's current monthly income calculation. This is where you would put your gross, bonuses, overtime, just your gross for each of these months. If you have a business, your gross and your expenses and your net for each of the 6 months prior to filing. Rental and other income, same, gross and expenses and your net. Interest, dividends, and royalties each month, gross. Pension and retirement income, not Social Security. List that gross here. Regular contributions from others to the household expenses, including child support, you would put that here, or roommates if they're contributing, or adult family members if they help share with the payment or the rent. Here you list your unemployment compensation for the last 6 months, and here's where your Social Security income for the last 6 months is. Moving ahead to top of page 35, this is your spouse's monthly income calculation for the previous 6 months. This is the same as your income, all sources of income, 6 months going back. If it's a business, you want your gross and your expenses and your net. Rental income, same. Unemployment, Social Security, have places for that here. And contributions to household expenses, including your child support. All sources of income for your spouse if they're filing with you. Okay, section 6 is your current expenses, which correlates with Schedule J of the bankruptcy petition. So, yes or no, joint filing. Now, if you have dependents in your home, list them here. This is children and also seniors if you have someone in your care that's your dependent, or other disability family members that you're caring for. Do you and your spouse live separately and maintain separate houses, yes or no? If yes, you're separated, let your attorney know, and they will have to provide you with an additional copy of this section to detail the expenses for the completely separate household. The following questions ask for your expenses each month. If you are unsure of the amount you pay each month, but know the amount for a different period, per week, day, 2 months, write in the amount and the frequency that you pay the amount. Do your expenses include another person's expenses other than yourself and your dependents? Yes or no? Okay, so your first major expense is your rent or home mortgage. Does it include real estate taxes? Always put the amounts. Indicate homeowners, renters insurance. How much do you pay? And no if you don't pay that. And home maintenance, repair, and upkeep expenses. Be sure to look at that and think about it to put this in, because home ownership or even rental upkeep is more than you might think. Okay, section 6 is your current expenses, which correlates with Schedule J of the bankruptcy petition. So yes or no, joint filing. Now, if you have dependents in your home, list them here. And this is children and also seniors if you have someone in your care that's your dependent, or other disability family members that you're caring for. Do you and your spouse live separately and maintain separate houses? Yes or no? If yes, you're separated, let your attorney know, and they will have to provide you with an additional copy of this section to detail the expenses for the completely separate household. The following questions ask for your expenses each month. If you are unsure of the amount you pay each month, but know the amount for a different period, per week, day, 2 months, write in the amount and the frequency that you pay the amount. Do your expenses include another person's expenses other than yourself and your dependents? Yes or no? Okay, so your first major expense is your rent or home mortgage. Does it include real estate taxes? Always put the amounts. Indicate homeowners, renters insurance. How much do you pay? And no if you don't pay that. And home maintenance, repair, and upkeep expenses. Be sure to look at that and think about it to put this in, because home ownership or even rental upkeep is more than you might think. Okay, page 37, number 7. Food and housekeeping supplies. This is much more than you think. It's not $200 for a single person. So really to think about it and put in the amount that you are paying for food and housekeeping supplies. Childcare and education costs, if that applies to you. Clothing, laundry, and dry cleaning, if that applies to you. Make sure to list every amount on this page. Personal care product and services. This will be haircuts, pedicures, things like that. Medical and dental, out of pocket. This is not your insurance. This is not where you put insurance. This is where you put your out of pocket. So you can even put all your vitamins and supplements amount that you pay here. Any prescription copays, office copays, that would go here. Next is transportation. Do not include your car payments. So this is your gas, your oil changes, repairs, tires. Take an annual amount and divide it by 12 to put here. And tabs, license tabs. That's a big expense these days. Okay, recreation, entertainment, newspapers, magazines, and books. This is what you would spend for weekends, going to McDonald's, movies, etc. Put an average amount here. Don't go crazy with that. Transportation. Do not include your car payment here. This is for your gas, your oil changes, your repairs, tires, and maintenance on your vehicle. Tabs are very expensive these days, so take what you would pay annually, divide it by 12, and put that here. Recreation, entertainment, newspaper, magazines. So this would be subscriptions and books and eating out, McDonald's, movies. Don't get too crazy here with your expenses. Charitable contributions and donations. This would be donating cash or checks to charity or church. It's not donating to Goodwill. Don't put that here. It's not monetary. Number 15, insurance not deducted from your wages or included in your home mortgage. So any life insurance, any health insurance that doesn't come out of your paycheck, your auto insurance, any other insurance, like maybe your renter's insurance here. You can add that there. Tax bills not deducted from your wages, home mortgage payments or other real estate property expenses. Tax bills not deducted from wages and your home mortgage payments or other real estate. Examples of this are if you owe the IRS and you have a payment plan with them, that you would list that here. Installment payments for your car. So this is your car payment, your furniture payment, payments like that. Alimony, maintenance, and support paid to others. Put that here. Payments for additional dependents not living at home. If you're sending money to your elderly parents or people that are abroad, family support, put that here. Other real estate property expenses not in your rent or home mortgage. Those are things like mortgage payment on other real estate property or taxes and home maintenance in repairs and upkeep and homeowner association. This is if you own more than one home. Okay, other expenses. List anything you can think of, out-of-pocket monthly expenses. They go in this area. Page 38. Describe any increase or decrease in expenses you expect to incur in the next year. If you have a contract job, list that when it expires. That's a big deal. Or I expect a bonus at the end of the year. Put that here. Okay. Additional expenses like mandatory payroll deductions not listed. Court-ordered payments. If you have any court-ordered payments like restitution, put that here. Education for employment or physically, mentally challenged child. Childcare, disability insurance, health savings account, care for elderly, chronically or disabled family members, protection from family violence if you're a victim of violence, education expense for your children under 18, and non-mandatory contributions to retirement accounts, including loan repayments. But if that's in your paycheck, you don't need to put that there. This is our last section, Section 7, the Statement of Financial Affairs. Please pay attention to each and every one of these questions, whether they apply to you or not. If they do not apply to you, check on the none box. Section 1, list every address you have lived in the last 3 years, and from when to when. Very important. If you lived with a spouse, number 2, domestic partner in a community within the last 8 years, list the state or territory where you lived, and Washington is included here. So then you want to list your state that you lived in the last 8 years and the name and address of your spouse or domestic partner if they're not filing with you. January 1st of this year, wage, commission, operating business, what the income is, put the gross here. Same for your spouse. This is for 3 years of information. This is your gross wages, operating a business, here. You have your gross income. This is January 1st to this year. So this is year to date on this line. Last year, 2020, the last year, which may not be 2024, and then the year before. So the last 3 years going back to the date. Continuing on page 40. This is other income besides employment or business income. So this will be your Social Security or your VA or your pension here. So January 1st, year to date, the source, what's the gross? Last year, the year before you filed the bankruptcy, the source, the gross. And the year before that, the source and the gross. Here you fill out your spouse's information as well, the current year and 2 years before. Okay, halfway down page 40 of the Statement of Financial Affairs, number 5. If your debts are primarily consumer debts, i.e. non-business, and you paid them a total of $600 or more in the last 90 days, do not include payments or domestic support obligations like child support and alimony. So you list your creditors. So here you paid your car payment. What were the dates and the amount you paid? If you paid $500 a month times 3, 90 days, that's $1,500 and still owed. Check, mortgage, car, credit card, loan repayment. This is any debt you paid $600 or more. And there's space here to add more of these debts if you need. Question 6. If your debts are primarily non-consumer debts, this is debts from your business. If you don't have a business, then disregard this area, number 6. But if you do have a business and you paid a total of $6,425 or more in one or more payments within the last 3 months, then you have to list those here and then list what the payment is for. This is for large business payments, again, in the last 3 months. So there's room to add more than one if you need. Number 7 on page 41. This is for payments to insiders in the last year. A payment to an insider means your relatives, business partners, their relatives, your friends, your corporations. If you paid a loan back to your sister or your best friend, you must list all of it, their name and address, dates of payment, total amount paid, amount still owed, and a reason for payment. This is very important. Number 8, list payments or transfers of property that you made 1 year that benefited an insider. So say you owed your brother for a car and you paid him off in the last year, you have to list all that here. This is called an insider transfer, and they really look at this in a scrupulous manner, and so it must be fully disclosed. Question 9. Again, in this Statement of Financial Affairs part, it's very important that you're very detailed and answer every question, even if you check none. Okay, number 9. List lawsuits, court actions, administrative proceedings to which you were a party in the last year. So you have a lawsuit, the case title and the case number, the nature of the case. So if it's a divorce, if it's a credit card suing you, or a criminal lawsuit, that's the nature. It would be civil or criminal pretty much. The court and location and the status. The status can be pending or it can be judgment. It can be concluded. Those are some examples of the statuses. Question 10. Describe all properties been repossessed, foreclosed, garnished, attached, seized, or levied in the last year. So here there's room for several of these creditors. If you're being garnished, list it. If you lost your home in the last year, list it and give the explanation by checking the box, and the date is very important. Or you had a car repo, this is where you put these information. Number 11, list all set-offs made by a creditor, including a bank or financial institution, against a debt or deposited within 90 days before the filing of your case. Include any refusals by a creditor to make a payment because you owed a debt. So here you have usually a bank or someone would take money. If you owe your bank money, they may take a set-off and apply it to your credit card because your bank account is collateral to that credit card. So list any instances of that happening here. Fill out everything, the date, set-off account number, etc. Number 12, within the last year, was any of your property in the possession of an assignee for the benefit of creditors, a court-appointed receiver, a custodian, or another official? If that's happened to you, call us and talk to the attorney. Number 14 on page 43, list any gifts or contributions that you made to a charity in the last 2 years that have a total value of more than $600. So if you give a charity over $100 a month, the name and address, the description, which would be donation, or if it's a church, go offering, and the dates, you could put past year and the total value here. Number 15, losses from fire, theft, flood, traffic accident, or gambling within the last year of the filing of this case. List that information here. Page 44, question number 16. List all payments made or transferred by you or someone else acting on your behalf or anyone you consulted about filing for bankruptcy or preparing a petition within the last year. Include any attorneys, bankruptcy petition payers, and credit counseling. So this is where you would pay the attorney or the petition preparer, their name and address, and who made the payment. If you didn't make the payment, just you put my mother or brother, whatever, if they made a payment for you. Description and value of any property transferred. So you paid your attorney, put that money here, put the amount for your petition preparer, that would go here. Also include the counseling course, your credit counseling, name and amount, and who paid it, and the date. And that is for any bankruptcy related services that you used. Number 17, list all payments made or property transferred by you or someone acting on your behalf in the last year to anyone who promised to help you deal with creditors. Okay, this would be an example of this would be debt consolidation services. So someone that you hired to work with your debt or reduce your debt, you would list that information here. How much you paid them, just answer every question here. There's a table, you can use, if you use several of them, list all that here. Bottom of page 44, number 18. List all property other than property transferred in the ordinary course of business or financial affairs that you sold, traded, transferred as a security in the last 2 years. So this would be, you sold a car, you sold a house. Fill all of those things out here. Number 19, list all property you transferred in the past 10 years to a self-settled trust or a similar device of which you are a beneficiary. You can call the attorney and ask about this. This is involving a trust, and you're a beneficiary of a trust, and you transferred it within the last 10 years, fill out this information. Cut. Number 20, list all financial accounts held in your name or for your benefit that were closed, sold, or moved or transferred in the last 1 year. If you closed any bank accounts and closed them out, savings, retirement, money market, brokerages, list those here. Okay, question 21 on page 45. Do you have a safe deposit box or any other depository for securities, cash, or valuables that you've had in the last year? Add that here. 22, storage units. You must disclose any storage unit you have or have in the last year, including the name of the address, anybody else that has access, description of the contents. And when you list under the beginning of your assets, make sure you include the contents of your storage unit in the questionnaire, and if you still have it or not. Moving on to page 47, list all property that you hold or control that is owned by somebody else. This is if you're storing somebody else's car or you're driving someone else's car with their permission. You must list the owner, location, description, and the value of the property. Or if you're storing someone's boat in your yard, you must list anything that you're holding that belongs to somebody else. There's consequences if you fail to list this, and they're not good. Number 24. If you've received a notice of a governmental unit, environmental law, hazardous materials, anything like that, disclose all of that here. We rarely see it. One time I saw it where a guy had disposed of some shingles from his roof and the neighbor complained. So anything like that, put that here. Question 25 is about hazardous materials, and include the name and address of a governmental unit of which the notice was sent, the date of the notice, and the environmental law. List that information here. We don't usually see this kind of thing, but if it happened to you, go ahead and disclose it. Question 26. List all judicial or administrative proceedings, including settlements and orders under an environmental law to which you have been a party. So this again involves environmental law, and fill it out if that applies to you, or check none. Question 27 is about your business, if you have one, and your bookkeeper. Fill in all these questions, or check none. If you don't have a business, still check none. Don't just skip these questions. Page 48, question 28. List any and all financial institutions, creditors, or other parties of which you gave a financial statement about your business within the last 2 years. This is business related. If you don't have a business, check none. Section 8 on page 48, miscellaneous questions. Go through each question carefully. Read each question carefully and circle yes or no. Continuing with miscellaneous questions, go through, answer yes and no. If you don't understand the question, feel free to give us a call. We'll be happy to help. Page 50. Go through all these questions carefully. Answer if needed. Check no if not needed. The first one here on the page is how are you being garnished? Bank account or paycheck. That's important if you're being garnished. Let us know so we can stop the garnishment when we file the bankruptcy. The other, any unpaid bad checks. How many payday loans do you have? Spouse or dependent using a vehicle or other item that belongs to someone else. That's a redundant question, but fill that out anyway. It's important to fill all of these out in extreme detail. Are you holding cash or property for somebody in your name or your possession? That's also, we need to know that. That's another question. There's several of these questions are designed in different ways to make sure that you're filling them out correctly. This is an important question. Does your name appear as an owner on any other property you don't use? If your brother hold the title of your parents' home to avoid probate, or your name appears on certificates of deposit managed by your parents, or a vehicle is titled in your name but used by a relative. Answer that. Do you have a safe deposit box? Do you expect your monthly income will increase by more than 25% in the next 2 months? Any bonuses?
Oh, damn it.
Okay, bottom of page 50. Do you expect to receive any bonuses or other items of temporary increased income in the next 6 months? Yes or no? Has any bank or creditor taken funds out of your account? Yes or no? Do you or your spouse owe any money to any ex-spouse for something other than child support, like alimony, property division, like their name on a house, anything like that, or a settlement? List that here. Page 51. This is divorce related. If you have a divorce, check yes, no if you don't, and answer the questions related to the divorce, the settlement, and also the final question here. Have you given money to anybody for any reason in the last 2 years? Yes or no? If yes, please explain. If you have a divorce in the last year, please bring a copy of your final divorce decree with you for your signing appointment so that the attorney can review it. This concludes the bankruptcy questionnaire. Feel free to stop and restart as you go and move along through the questions. And I hope that you find this very helpful. Please let me know if this is a help to you or not. Thank you. If I've jumped ahead on a page or two, it's because it would be simple to understand and fill out. The main line is look at every single question, answer everything with a yes or no, and fill in details. That will help us do our job and make your bankruptcy proceed seamlessly. Thank you very much. Congratulations, you've come through the questionnaire. This will be the most difficult part you've already completed. Good job. Go back through the questionnaire and make sure all the boxes are filled in correctly, all the tables filled in, and the boxes are checked, even if it's no or NA and they don't apply to you. This is a generic questionnaire for everyone in the United States who is filing bankruptcy. PDF or Word documents are what are accepted for the bankruptcy paperwork on the attached checklist. If you're not sure how to create a PDF or download a PDF, give us a call and we'll help. Phone photos are acceptable for driver license and social security cards only. When you're complete, you've done your counseling, you completed the checklist of financial documents and finished the questionnaire, call our office for an appointment to begin the process of preparing your paperwork. If you have questions, as always, we're here for you. Give us a call at any time.